Coming to your seated posture, sitting in a chair, arms by your side, palms resting on the thighs, or in cross legs, half lotus or full lotus. As you take that deep breath in through the belly, engaging the diaphragm, filling up the lungs fully and completely, retaining the breath for a second or two, and then slowly exhale as you contract the ribs and let out the last bit of breath as you pull that belly button in towards the spine. Starting all over again, taking that deep breath in through the belly and slowly exhale, allowing each breath to get heavier and heavier as you sink deeper into your meditation. Today we're going to talk about Daniel Goleman, and we've talked about him in the past through Super Soul Sundays with Oprah Winfrey, but he was actually on a podcast with Good Life Project, and it's regarding his newly authored book called Altered Traits, and it was co-authored with Richard Davidson, and it's a unique meditation deep dive that brings together the deep research completed by science. Goleman looked at the strongest studies on meditation and found that even from the beginning, you get benefits for concentration, and your amygdala, which flips out when you get upset, calms down under stress. He said there are now 6,000 peer-reviewed studies on meditation, but his co-author Richard Davidson has a very strict standard. He looked at the methodology and he said that maybe 1% are really, really strong, but it makes it very clear that the more you do, the greater the benefits become. So there is a dose-response relationship. And it's right from the beginning, as mentioned earlier. You gain focus and you become calmer. Richard Davidson also was able to bring Olympic level meditators over from Nepal and India and bring them to the Brain Lab. And the results were outstanding and suggest that something is going on here that we don't know of about our psychology. So this is the 1% that he mentioned above. For example, he said, when you get an insight like, oh, I just solved the problem I've been grappling with, sort of a creative insight, he says your brain shows it in a particular way, and it's called a gamma, and it's for about half a second. He says that these Olympic yogis are in gamma all the time. He says they describe it as a spaciousness or a readiness, but in reality, they say there's really no words to explain it. Additionally, he says that in other findings, long-term meditators who practice every morning or maybe do retreats, they found that if they do one day, i.e. like 6 hours of meditation, there is what is called the downregulation for inflammation. That means the genes that create inflammation throughout the body, they go quiet. This is called epigenetic. And that is understanding that it's not the genes you have, but whether you've turned them on or off. And that was a shock to people in genomic science who didn't think that a day of any kind of mental activity would affect your gene activity. The data shows that the benefits of meditation are enhanced by retreats with full days, and some are for a month or longer. Additionally, he talks about the 10,000 rule. 10,000 rules, basically, if you do something for 10,000 hours, you sort of become like a pro at it. And he says that all pros had coaches, and similarly, all of the yogis had teachers that would help them. So maybe, they would say, okay, once you get the concentration down, let's see if you can gain some insight and so forth. And then lastly, the US has been implemented what's called MBSR, and it's called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. And this came from the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama basically told some, Goldman and Davidson and all these other famous Americans that have, gone to India, Nepal to learn the meditative states practice for so many years in Asia. I think it's Ramadan. So the Dalai Lama said, we have practices that can help with calming the mind and even help with pain. And this is what has been implemented. So mindful-based stress reduction is used very commonly now in medical settings to help people who have chronic pain, because it doesn't take the physiological sensation away at all. It takes the emotional reaction away, and it makes all the difference in the world for these individuals. So, Altered Traits, if you want to check it out. On the next inhale, take a deep breath in through the belly. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, nod your head right to left. On the next inhale, take one last deep breath in through the nose. And on that exhale, gently open your eyes. Namaste.